Welcome to the Magic Mindfulness Podcast, where we sprinkle a little bit of magic into your daily life. I'm your host, Rachel Hupp, and I'm so excited to set out on this mindfulness journey with you. As someone who's experienced the transformative power of mindfulness firsthand, I am here to guide you through the wonders of living a more mindful and joyful life. This podcast is your space for embracing mindfulness and cultivating a deeper connection to yourself and the world around you. Together, let's uncover the magic within and sprinkle a little extra sparkle into your day. Join me as we explore practical tips, inspiring stories, and transformative practices to help you thrive in every aspect of your life. Let's dive in and embrace the magic of mindfulness together. Welcome to another episode of the Magic Mindfulness Podcast. I have a very special guest with me today, Bran Adams, and we actually met through collaborating together to offer a very unique sound journey along with a yoga experience. We've done that for public groups and private groups now. So welcome. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, Bran?
Hi, yeah. So excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me and for starting this really wonderful, amazing journey yourself in the podcasting world. What an opportunity yeah, to get to share. And so I really started my journey with sound in 2013. I used to race endurance mountain bikes. I was a Shenandoah Mountain 100 competitive athlete. I wouldn't say I was necessarily a competitor. I was a participant in that experience, and it was wonderful. But I needed to have some physical adjustments, and massage wasn't going to work for me. Just based on the amount of time I was training, and I didn't really want somebody physically manipulating my body. So I went in for a Reiki session with a woman who eventually became my Reiki teacher. And she did sound the first time I was on the table with her. This would have been 2013. And I immediately had some amazing experience. You know, I felt it in my body, but I didn't just feel it in my body. I felt something in my subtle energy body. And then it just kind of, I felt a shift, like a really big energetic shift. And immediately, I needed more. I wanted to know more. I wanted to experience more. And so I started to go to any sound bath that I could find this was in Richmond, Virginia. And then I obviously I went back to her for multiple additional Reiki sessions, especially before my events, because she tuned me up and was able to get me in a better physical, mental, and spiritual place before I put my bike on the start line. And as it progressed through in 2020, I realized that I no longer had access to sound baths live. So I went online and purchased my own equipment, my own, I say equipment, but my own crystal bowls, and just started playing for myself and really experimenting with what the different vibrations and how they affected me and how what the experience meant to help me stay in a really good, positive, calm state of mind. You know, there's a great presence that comes when you're with the sound vibrations. And then it's just kind of grown from there. In 2021, I studied with my yoga teacher, my guru, my master is in Rishikesh, India. And so I was able to go over there for a retreat after my 200 yoga teacher training and for 10 days. And I picked up some Himalayan metal bowls. So I got my Himalayan metal bowls while I was in India, and then had some more shipped over from the academy that I study with, and the myriad of other instruments that I've collected over time. So that's how I got started into the sound, and it's been really wonderful to pair it with the yoga, the asana, right? Because then you can get in the sound, the vibrations can really penetrate into the physical body much more effectively.
Yes, it has been such a powerful practice to pair the two, the sound with the yoga, and our participants just love it. And whether they um, understand how that frequency is benefiting and aligning their energetic body or not, it's just such a powerful and profound experience for people to experience the sound and the yoga as a combination.
Yeah, absolutely. When you can get your physical body into a greater state of relaxation, you know, as you go through and the presence of being of asana and the poses with the sound do drop you in most into a great state of presence. And yeah, I think there's some energetics at play that you have to have a subtle attunement for. And but the more that you engage with sound and the more you engage with sound practices, I think the more you can tap into that subtle energy that's being transmitted. And so in my experience, I've had great downloads of information that just kind of appear, or I've seen people that I've worked with that, you when you leave, it's either, I always say there's two couple things. When you're in the practice of being with the sounds, you may have some kind of a download or some kind of an epiphany or some kind of a clarity if you've sent, for whatever intention that you've set. But it's also in the days and sometimes even the weeks that follow that you have a synchronicity, or you have oh, I met this person, oh, I got this, or whatever it may be. Because when we allow ourselves to be in that silence and that presence, then that's when the energies that work with us, that make the tulips bloom in the spring that we were just talking about, and the leaves come out in the trees, those energies are there. But you look at how silent, still you're in that state of stillness, then you can hear, and then you can receive, and then you can have action. So it's quite profound when you allow yourself into the experience. And the more that you're right, the more that you interact with the sound, I think the more awareness that you gain with it. But it doesn't mean that as a beginner you're not still going to get something from being a part of the sound journey.
Yes, yes. I remember my very first sound experience. It was almost like it was it was almost like time stopped. Like you're just so immersed in the moment, and you're so immersed in the vibration and the energy and the sound. And just to allow yourself, first of all, that time to slow down, that time to find stillness, that time and presence. Like you said, it brings about this deeper awareness where you can really tap into that intuition, that inner guidance, that inner knowing, and be more open to receiving those downloads, that the subtle nuances, the little shifts that are going to help move you forward towards that more aligned state.
Absolutely. So, not to get into too deeply, but the various bowls play different um, vibrational frequencies, if you will. So we're not just working with one frequency, you're working with a myriad of frequencies, some on the musical scale. So music has been a part of our life, every aspect of, as we were little kids, sound and music, so to speak. And in this, and in the case of the crystal bowls, we're tapping into frequencies that can align with different planetary energies. They align with your chakra centers. They align with there's some binaurals that will get into tuning those chakra centers so that they become more aligned. And when they're more aligned in that way, then yes, you can stop and drop into uh, the clarity. And I always like to say the clarity for where you're supposed to be on your path and for your journey specifically. This is not mine. This is not Rachel's. This is a specific path and journey for the person who's having the experience, right? And that may be different than somebody next door on the mat there, but everyone is going to have, most, I say most will have some kind of a profound experience that can only become even more profound with more experience, with various other, the Himalayan bowls will actually vibrate through ABC. So they may, when I look at my tuner, they may vibrate and start at a C note. So you have a C note, which is your root chakra, so that's Muladhara, your Saturn, your Earth. And when you're grounded into that, which is where I like to keep people, because that's, when you're, and you can play the notes to the asana practices too. But the Himalayan bowls will actually tune through many different layers of chakra centers. It's fascinating.
It really is fascinating. It really is fascinating. And like you said, that With practice, you get more attuned to to settling into it. I feel like your body gets more adapted to it or more just like our mindfulness practices. The more you practice, the easier it is to get into that flow state or that the easier it is to drop into that sense of presence and receiving.
Yeah, when I first started with sound, I was always like, what is that? It was more questioning. And I was, oh, that's so, and the mind was still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
My mind was still very much involved in what was, oh, she just, oh, oh, this was just played, or, oh, they switched that. Oh, that, a lot of people don't like some of the higher notes, the really higher pitched, your crown, your ajna and your sasrara. They're not as I've found in my experience, it's maybe not as comfortable at those higher notes. And so, uh, as you get more, you start to just relax into it much more quickly because the mind isn't trying to figure out what's happening. You just allow the experience to happen. That's been my journey, and Um, I've had some pretty prolific healers that I've worked with. I went and studied with Dr. Paul Hubbard, who's in Austin, Texas, and he works with the channel entity with the Hathors, basically. So they're out of ancient Egypt, and he is. This may be a little out there for some, but he's able to channel the Hathors, and so they can come through and provide transmissions. And so it's called um, it's basically integrating their experience. So I was really blessed to be able to train with him, and that just upped my understanding even more so.
That sounds really powerful.
Having that transmission come through. Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
started learning how to practice on your own because you didn't have the access to the sound baths anymore. So you took it upon yourself to learn how to do it, how to provide this experience, the sound experience for yourself. How did you go from creating this as a personal practice to then sharing it with others? Or were you sharing it with others as you were learning at the beginning?
Interesting. Yeah. So I actually started practicing on neighbors. During in 2020, everyone was having their own moments, and so I would have Friday night sound baths at my house and have 3 to 4 neighbors that would come over, and I would play for them and then get feedback, or any friend who came to visit me. So I have a lot of competitive athletes who are friends, and a lot of them are still training. And so when they would come to visit, I'd have the sound, all of my sound journey, bowl everything out and drop them in. And I have one friend who's very type A. And when I realized the power of the practice, when she expressed, wow, I've never been in, that was such a great sleep, and I've never the best night of sleep I've ever had. And then she was able to perform a little bit better. So, and then I've helped others transition through, and this has all been kind of pro bono. I was just practice, really, it's been an interesting journey to move out of what's so personal and
Mm-hmm.
I've had so much great experience with, into commerce and into sharing these gifts in exchange for money, right? So that's where I am right now, is putting these offerings out more so, just to my immediate community, the people that are closest, my friends, my families, my neighbors, to those who are more interested in experiencing it for themselves. So sound can be in a group environment, which is what we're doing when we play at Bricks and Columns, and
Yes.
other venues that we're looking at potentially opening up asana and sound journeys together. But it's also a really amazing private practice too. And so I do have the offerings. My website is Divine Pine Healing Arts, and you can go there or get in touch with me other ways. And uh, you know, Reiki master. So I got my Reiki masters in 2021. I got my Reiki 1-2 in 2018. And then in 2021, I wanted to go back and finish my Reiki masters with the Reiki practitioner that I had started with in 2013. She's amazing, Divine Spark. I'll give her a shout out, Rachel Fleiber in Richmond, Virginia. She's just a really talented everything when it comes to these, very esoteric. You have to be able to go in deep. And so the Reiki is involved as well. So I definitely open up the energies of Reiki into the experience.
That's just such a powerful combination. The energy of the Reiki and the energy of the sound compounded together. Like it's just such a, I've had one-on-one sound baths and I've had, I've experienced it in a group setting as well. And I think that they both have their benefits for sure, but it's so powerful when it's one-on-one. That one-on-one experience is just unbelievable.
You can get into the intention setting for more clarity on a specific, and I use the word issue lightly, but on a specific, um, yeah, I will just use the word issue on something that may be disrupting your journey. Something that may be causing an irritation or an anxiety or a transition or a change or something. We all that's the nature of life. And until one reaches a state of really great equanimity, where you can look at it from that kind of that viewer perspective and not have so much attachment to the actual experience, right? That's the goal of enlightenment is you're not reaching enlightenment, you're just going through to get more light. So we're opening up and clearing out to allow more light in, um, and to kind of clear out those disruptions, so to speak, in that energy, so that one can more smoothly move through those traumas and dramas and daily, oh, somebody parked in my parking spot, or I would say, or how dare they be in line with 17 items in the 15 item or less aisle. Those little, I call those the dust bunnies of life, the little minor, all of that can get kind of cleansed too. The aura will cleanse the subtle body with the sound. But then again, that's kind of the broader perspective. But then when you drill it down to the individual, you can work on, my son is getting ready to go to college and I'm not going to have him in my house anymore. Or um, my dog just died. Or, something that's a transitional, massive change in the day-to-day structure of one's life, because most people are routine and they have those changes, that kind of thing. And so we could actually work with those specifically, intention setting, and get more clarity on how to smoothly, easily, with more peace of mind and calm through those experiences.
Yes, I think that's powerful. And also, I don't know if this has been your experience as well, but sometimes when I'm working with clients or even when I've been the client, I've been working with somebody, sometimes I know that I feel stuck somewhere. I know that something's off, but I don't know exactly where it is. And so sometimes I just go to somebody and I'm with the intention, like, I need to get in touch with my highest self. I need to kind of just clear out the clutter, kind of just tune into myself and be open to receiving whatever guidance I'm supposed to be receiving, because somehow I am blocking it and I can sense that, but I don't know what I don't know what I'm blocking. Have you experienced anything like that yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the things I think that goes back to that kind of that beginner practice. Oh,
Yeah.
I need to have this, like, I need to have this, and I need to make something happen, or I want to have, and it's really powerful in the allowing. And I don't always have to know. I've been the we do these yoga journeys with the sangha that I study with, and they're 7 layers. So it's Kriya, mantra, mudra, pranayama, and you can go through those practices, and then kind of when you're in your shavasana, just be. I mean, I could just be sobbing, just in tears, just having this, like, and I have no idea what was just released from one of the nadis or from one of the energetic centers. No idea. And I used to want to figure it out. I used to want to be like, I wonder what that was. And now I don't have to know. I just have to know that I am open. So I think that's one of the really impactful, is that I am open to the experience. I am open to change, and I am allowing whatever is in my highest and greatest good. And I always set that intention to before I work with anybody, is that I want the session to be in the highest and greatest good. And sometimes they'll say, we can release anything that's not serving the highest and greatest good. And that's as simple as the intention needs to be. And then you're really allowing the divine, the spiritual energies, infinity, birthing into the finite, the ability to do its work. And we can get the ego out of the way.
I'm so glad you said that about the allowing. And I've experienced the same myself, where I get so into my head and so into that mental space of wanting to figure things out, wanting to understand the why and the how. But if we just trust our bodies, if we just trust the process and just allow it to unfold without that expectation, without necessarily the judgment, but just the allowing ourselves to receive, allowing ourselves to be open, that's really powerful.
Yeah, releasing can come in yawning. It can come in sighing. It can come in tears. It can come, when you're releasing something that no longer serves, right? It's a couple things we're talking about here. It's releasing energy that can no longer serve, because emotion is energy, emoting. It's an energetics that can, how does it get stuck in our bodies? Well, Melanie Beattie, there's lots of articles and there's lots of books out there that are written, and even more so science is proving that when we have an emotional upset or some kind of an emotional stiction, it can really get stuck in our physical bodies. And so there's one component, I think, is releasing, I say the traumas, and that can take a deeper practice, and it may not happen just in one. And I work with one of the shamanic practitioners I work with, that I have for years. You can run, as you advance through, you can actually run planetary and energies through your chakra to, if and then it also aligns elementally as well. So when you start working with the elements in those practices, you can become more aware, of how you're working with those energies to release these stuck points, if you will, or the points that are causing dis-ease, or causing friction in the outer world, right? So your inner should reflect your outer, and we just want to kind of clear that up. Or the second thing is we're just looking to get more information, that clarity that you talked about. I don't know what I'm supposed to have for dinner tomorrow night. Can you just get me into a better flow in my daily life, please? Can I just flow easily so that I don't have to, stumble upon what I'm going to eat this week? That's one of the things I have, or what I want to do, how I'm going to help my mom transition through moving into an assisted living, some of those bigger things too. It depends, but we don't have to know. We just have to be, again, open and allow. That's what I fell into, uh, as I advanced through, in my own private practice.
Yes, and I think that's so powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
Welcome.
So you said that you are doing a little more work here in the community. Do you want to tell our listeners how they could work with you if they are in the local area here? I know that you and I are working on lining up some more yoga and sound events, so that will be fun. But how can people work with you on a one-on-one basis?
Yeah, so I've been hesitant, and in full kind of transparency, I've been hesitant to bring my practice out into the community, because it is, something I cherish so much. It's had such an impact on myself and the loved ones that I've worked with so far. But I am being called more to step into, um, working with the greater, public, if you will, and we need it now more than ever. We're seeing so much dysfunction and disorder in this world, and so much chaos, and people are just very, looking for that peace and the calm. So you can, reach me on divinepinehealingarts.com, or brandywoodadams@gmail.com too, or through, the small Instagram page. I kind of went quiet on the Instagram. I really have turned out a lot of the external world as I've gone internal. So I don't watch the news. I don't, my Instagram is, I deleted an old account and have a very small account, but it's _Bran_Adams, is my smaller Instagram page.
I followed a similar journey as far as my own. As I've deepened my practice, I've turned off much of the outside world. I don't watch the news either.
Mm-hmm.
I will share all of your links in the show notes so that
Yeah, that'd
listeners
probably
can
be the
find
the
you.
best way to do it. And so we can do, sessions here. I have a small cottage, and so I do sessions in my home. And I have, a full crystal collection as well. So if so called, we can work with crystals if that's what is called for. And, really just it's a very individual specific, um, calling. So yeah, thank you so much. How much fun has this been?
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
I go
you.
on for another hour. Happy
I
hour.
know.
And we're already here. It's so quick.
I know. Well, if you had to leave our listeners with one final thought, or one piece of guidance or one piece of insight that is on your heart, is there anything you would like to leave our listeners with before we part ways?
Yeah, just be open to the present moment, and what that might allow. So when you turn the mind off, or and be open to change, and into a greater, deeper sense of calm and peace. And I think that's the new way. As the new world is created and the new world's open, those who can stay in that vibration are going to be more at ease. So allow the sound in those moments and see what happens.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Bran Adams, for joining us today. And I will include all of your contact information in our show notes so that listeners can get in touch with you.
Thank you, love.
Thank you. Thanks so much for tuning into the Magic Mindfulness podcast. Until next time, remember to trust yourself, trust the universe, and embrace the magic of mindfulness. And if today's episode resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe so you can receive regular doses of inspiration and practical tips for your mindfulness journey. Be sure to share this episode with a friend who could use a sprinkle of magic in their day. And don't forget to like this episode and leave a comment sharing your thoughts and experiences. Your support means the world to me as I continue spreading the magic of mindfulness. Take care, my friend, and I'll see you next time.